Hi everyone, welcome to my review of Alfred Hitchcock's I Confess from 1953. So yes, we're back once again to discuss another Hitchcock, and I believe it's been a few months. Suspicion being the last one I kind of reviewed on the channel, and since then I've I've kind of rewatched The Birds and this kind of stuff, but I didn't plan on kind of reviewing that again. So yes, Suspicion I guess was the last one, and yes, I Confess. Here it is on Blu-ray, HMV Premium Blu-ray here, and yes, there will be spoilers in this discussion. So if you haven't seen this film, I simply recommend watching it first, and then come back to this this discussion. It could be a fairly brief discussion compared to my other Hitchcock reviews, at least some of them, and because I guess I haven't got as much to say about this, and it's kind of my first watch, being a few weeks ago now, and it will have spoilers though, despite the kind of relatively short length of this review. But yes, a film that I saw, as I say, for the first time very recently, and a very interesting film within the kind of filmography of Hitchcock, and for me, it's in his greatest decade, being the 50s. This is just Hitchcock's decade, and I think he was from what he made during this decade, the best of the 50s, and I think it's consistently just his most remarkable decade. And this one, I confess, this is the one that I hadn't really heard too much about, and I guess it does appear kind of fairly low, kind of Hitchcock rankings, if you kind of look around, around the internet and stuff. But yes, I still was very, very interested in seeing this. I'm interested in seeing all of Hitchcock's films, and of course, Montgomery Clift is in this film as this protagonist, and of course, Karl Malden as well, who's a great, great actor. He was a legend, and he is in this as well, and just it interested me. Of course, the kind of story of this being very different for kind of Hitchcock film, and based on this French play that I believe he saw in the 30s, and became intrigued by this, and yes, he kind of with this I feel made a very, very different film to what his kind of usual what he usually done, being these particular types of thrillers, and comedy in there as well. I think this is very, very different. It is definitely not one of my favourites, I'll say that now, and I did have some things that I just couldn't get invested in throughout the narrative. I just think it was definitely, yes, not one of my favourites from Hitchcock. But yes, it's a very, very different Hitchcock film, and for me, being in his greatest decade though, in the 1950s, and for me, I love the 50s, of course, but I think the best filmmaker of the 50s was Hitchcock, and just taking into account what he made during that decade, I think he was on top form, and just masterpiece after masterpiece, and so many great films. The actual variety, you could say as well, and really peak Hitchcock in many regards was this decade. Despite that, this film here is one that I've not really heard about too much compared to many of his other films. In fact, it's probably placed fairly low, on the rankings, I've seen out there, on the internet and stuff, of his kind of filmography, and it's not one that is kind of regarded as, one of his best, and I certainly wouldn't say that either. I think after viewing this, it's definitely a film that I enjoyed. I think the visuals to this film are remarkable at times, actually, and just this atmosphere, Quebec City being an actual location, that they filmed, on, and just around, and seeing the kind of the way in which architecture, is being captured in this film, it's just stunning, and it really added this atmosphere and this kind of vibrancy, I feel, just through that, and just the way in which characters, kind of placed in relation to the surroundings and the buildings, and just as well in the middle of the film, seeing these kind of shots of the countryside, just the visuals throughout this film, that's what I'll say, quite stunning at times, and just really pleasant viewing in that sense. And Dmitry Tiomkin, once again, providing a great score, and these aspects of the film, just being great, and really lovely to see, and this kind of magic feeling, and I think a very, very interesting film, in its story. I can't really say this is a story like other Hitchcock films. Just fascinating, this kind of this narrative here, and the kind of reading this, I read the basic, very basic summary of this this kind of plot here, you know, basically on the back of the Blu-ray, and you know, before viewing this, and you know, kind of was very interested, and was very kind of eager to see what Hitchcock would do with telling this this story. But yes, a really interesting way in which the film opens up, and the first act, essentially, we already know most of the things that are at play here, the elements, and we have basically the entire kind of what could be a twist later on in the film being revealed to us in the first act, and we have this, I guess, you know, kind of hinging on dramatic irony, and really the effects of this, you know, on Michael Logan, because we have, of course, Otto confessing very soon into the film to Michael Logan that he was the one who, you know, accidentally killed this individual, of course, and through, you know, him robbing, you know, him at the time, and by accident he did kill him, and yeah, he confesses this to Michael Logan, and you know, for the rest of the film we know it's Otto Keller and the character, and of course Michael Logan knows this, but he cannot reveal, of course, the information to the police, and Inspector LaRue kind of really suspects, though, Michael Logan, so of course, even though even in his defence, we cannot have Michael Logan giving away this actual confession, what happened there, and so it's a really kind of interesting film, this kind of inner struggle, conflict within Michael Logan, and the effects that you know, this is all having on him, and this moral, you know, kind of struggle, I feel, and this kind of exploration of, you know, the actual, his faith, Michael Logan as well, and so much going on here, you know, in kind of this humanity of Michael Logan being brought out, and this kind of restraint that he is showing as well, and it's a really good performance from Montgomery Clift, and I feel a very fascinating kind of character study at times, and I think soon enough the kind of 20-minute kind of mark, I think he kind of unfortunately goes off the rails a little bit, and it is kind of a you know, meandering film, and I think just at times I found it to be fairly flat. We have this kind of massive sequence in the kind of middle of the film. We have this kind of well, of course, Ruth being this kind of love interest, you know, of Michael Logan, and we have this backstory being revealed, and it's all very nice and pleasant, and you know, the visuals at that point, you know, once again being stunning, and it is kind of interesting to see, you know, this this relationship being portrayed, you know, in the film, but of course, I think that is kind of where the film, you know, it kind of loses sense of this main kind of narrative, this story, and the actual drive to the narrative, just the momentum is kind of you know, affected here, I feel, and just to see, you know, it's very nice to see that, you know, kind of stuff, but it does kind of take away from my investment in the main narrative, and you know, it does luckily pick up again at the end. You know, in fact, I think the last 15 minutes, you know, is just the best part of the film, and really tense once again, and to see the actual outcome, you know, of this, is quite tragic. You know, that's the thing. It does raise some questions, and this kind of inner struggle, this conflict within Michael Logan, is definitely, you know, brought out in the final act, and we have this kind of the consequence, you know, of this, you know, of this kind of character being, or someone who perishes, and you know, Michael Logan being the one who, throughout the film, is aware of this this character being the one who did kill this individual, and we have this kind of, in that sense, a sense of relief for Michael Logan, but of course there is this tragedy as well, and this complex feeling, you know, of this this outcome, and I really liked that, and just so many different feelings that I felt, you know, in the final act of the film, and certainly a very commendable final act. This last kind of 15 minutes, it brought together these themes, you know, really well actually, and just very tense indeed. Where perhaps the film had lacked, oddly, tension, you know, consistently for a time, you know, really picked up again in the final act, and really just an explosive one, as we know. Of course, Otto, you know, perishing there, and we have that kind of complexity, you know, Michael Logan's emotions, you know, his inner conflict being really brought out here, and you know, the consequence, you know, of his actions, perhaps, you know, but you know, there's this kind of, I guess, you know, the satisfaction of finding him being, you know, set free in that sense from his, you know, yes, it is him being trapped from not being able to reveal, for example, the information, and finally he is set free, and they don't suspect him anymore. But we do have the kind of complexity of the tragedy, of Otto Keller, his character falling there and perishing. But it's a very interesting ending, and it has all these different mixture of emotions, and I really liked the ending, and just the final kind of 15 minutes or so really picked up again. But a lot of this film, I think one of the main things is it lacks oddly tension at times, and I think for a majority of the film, I think in the middle, especially, it really did not have enough kind of tension and just investing moments to keep me kind of in this and in this world, and the characters, and I think at times as well, some of the characters, side characters, perhaps for me were a bit bland and just there, but not really alive in that sense. And I think the city being filmed, Quebec City, and all this kind of the surroundings and this kind of community is definitely it's portrayed so well, and it is alive, the city, but the inhabitants in this, I think at times, the different characters, I found to be not that investing, and I think unfortunately fairly flat at times, the film, and especially in the middle of the film, that's when it really is definitely more flat, and I was definitely not as invested in this, but I think of course, there are so many Hitchcock films, and most of them, that I've seen, some of my favourites in some way, and I think he made, once again, I remind all viewers, for me, I love Hitchcock so much. His films are one of my top 5 directors, easily, and I think just unfortunately this film did not, kind of do it for me overall compared to many of his other films, and I think one of the main reasons for this, excluding the fact that some of the characters are not that engaging for me, with the exception of mainly, of course, Michael Logan being a very good character, and of course as well Karl Malden's character, Inspector LaRue, he was very good, and kept me on my toes, in that sense. But yes, I think despite that, and just the way in which the film looks visually, being stunning, I think the film really lacked tension at times, and also comedy. This is one of the things that I think Hitchcock was so genius at, kind of this very particular kind of dry humour, and injecting this into his films to make them more believable, and even more kind of investing, where perhaps you've got in many Hitchcock films sustained tension and drama, almost unbearable at times, of course Rear Window being especially one of the kind of most tense experiences of all time, but in that film, for example, we have so much comedy injected, and wit, in that film. And many of the Hitchcock films, they're kind of comedy thrillers, really, most of them. And I think, it's this kind of genius, kind of this magic that I can't quite, put my finger on at times, how he did this. But he did it, and I think in this film he didn't do this. I think it really lacked the comedy, with this being this thriller, of course, but it wasn't one of the most thrilling that I've seen, and also it didn't kind of have this charm as much, and it really lacked comedy at times, and that's just my view on this. I think overall, it's a solid film, and one that I did certainly enjoy, no denying that, and I did, I had a really good time, seeing these performances, and just being treated to this visual, really visually stunning film. Of course, the music, Dmitri Tiomkin, cannot, of course, stress enough that he was a great composer, and he really brought out, so much in this film. The atmosphere, and the sense of, I guess, the sense of charm mostly comes from, yes, this the score, and just different moments, in the locations, but the characters themselves, I found this was just lacking in quite a few things, especially the comedy, and just this kind of flow. It's edited very well, at times, but I think in the middle of the film, that's one of the main things that really kind of lessens the flow of the film, at times, and just this kind of switching to this heavy exposition scene, and that's fine, but I think it does detract overall from this, in the context of this film, from the narrative, from the investment of this, and just from the actual tension itself, you know, I found it to be nice and pleasant there, but you know, it took away from this experience. And yeah, of course, overall, you know, I was never, you know, kind of highly invested to the point where, you know, I would call this a great film. It was a very nice film though, and yeah, I think overall, you know, I did like this film. There are some slights for me, and it didn't really blow me away, other than the kind of you know, the visuals at times, of course, and the score. And I think at times the performances, yes, two performances in particular were very, very strong, and really kept me, you know, kind of engaged more than I would have been in that sense. And it would have been great to see, you know, a character like Michael Logan in another Hitchcock film, for example, because, you know, he was really the star of the show, and just this kind of very layered, I feel, complex character, and Montgomery Clift playing this with this kind of nuance and you know, subtlety, and really kind of interesting character. And I think yeah, the film you know, kind of, it moves along you know, most of the time at first very nicely, but it does kind of grind to a halt, you know, in a sense, at a certain point in the film, and it never really kind of regained this until the final act, the kind of momentum, and it did lack tension, as I say, you know, for a Hitchcock film to lack tension, you know, obviously it was a shame to see, but you know, I guess, you know, this is not kind of a film that you know, is known by many to be you know, one of the best Hitchcock films, and you know, I personally I did not find this to be one of the best Hitchcock you know, films. I think in fact it's definitely from what I've seen not one of my favourites at all. I think it's definitely near the bottom actually, and I think despite that though, I liked it, and it's very rare, you know, I will ever see probably a film from Hitchcock that I don't like in some way. Once again, he is one of my top 5 filmmakers, and just I love, you know, there's not much more things I love than watching, sitting down to watch a Hitchcock film that I love, and rewatching Hitchcock, and just to kind of be so immersed, you know, in his films. Yes, well, it's not one of my kind of favourite Hitchcock films. I think it's very commendable, and overall, definitely a solid film. You know, I did enjoy, and I took many things from this, and I look forward to at some point in the future kind of giving this another go, and you know, seeing this for its visuals, and you know, the music, of course, and some of the characters, a few of them being very compelling, and just this very fascinating, I think, story, and it'd be interesting to see this again, knowing how it kind of turns out as well. But you know, it's a very, you know, overall very solid film from Hitchcock, and yes, for me, my final rating is a very solid 67%, and yes, I think that's accurate for my personal enjoyment of this film, and what I kind of think of this, you know, kind of in terms of just the technical kind of aspects of this. I think it's very commendable. It's very well made at times, and in other areas, you know, it's kind of I guess, you know, it's lacking for me personally. But you know, a film that I'd recommend, you know, to anyone, just to see it and see what you think. You could love this film, and that's great. But you know, I think it's definitely not one of my favourite kind of Hitchcock films personally, and I think, yes, I'll definitely take pretty much all of the films so far that I've seen from Hitchcock, and that is about, you know, kind of 20 films, I believe. Yes, 20 films actually, exactly, that I've seen so far from Hitchcock, so many more to go, more than half his filmography to actually see for the first time even. So yes, very much look forward to that. And yes, that's my thoughts on the film, and you know, I look forward to very soon watching another Hitchcock film, and perhaps, yes, another review will come. It will come eventually, and yes, I look forward to that. I'm not going to say which one it is, but yes, that's my thoughts on I Confess, and yes, what do you think of this film? It'd be great to hear your thoughts on this, and it'd be fascinating to see, you know, your opinions on this film, this very unique film, of course, in Hitchcock's filmography, and it'd be very interesting, as you know, to kind of hear what you have to say about the characters, you know, just the narrative, and your experience with watching this. You know, have you seen this film, and you know, your experience with first time viewing this, and it's always great to hear your first time you know, kind of Hitchcock experiences. It's so great, and you know, because I've had so many just nostalgic you know, times with you know, this filmmaker, and just making my cinematic journey so much better, you know, so much more, you know, just wowing and unforgettable and just unbelievable. Really, just film after film. Just wow. Hitchcock was one of the best for me, and very close to being the absolute greatest. But this film is definitely a solid film. For me in his catalogue, and it'd just be great to hear your thoughts. And yes, I look forward to reviewing, of course, many more Hitchcock films, and re-reviewing as well. Some that I've already talked about before, re-reviewing them, and getting another kind of review up for them. And yes, stay tuned if you're interested in that. More Hitchcock discussions, and yes, it'd be great to kind of kind of continue this discussion in the comments. Feel free if you want to kind of leave your thoughts, and yes, just we'll go from there. And I look forward to that, and conversations on Hitchcock and cinema. So yes, as always, take care, and thanks for watching.